Hello everyone. In the last class, we have discussed the basic fundamentals regarding AC signals. Like we have discussed the points how AC signal will be and its representation. Along with this, with that, we have discussed various characteristics of an AC waveform like time period, frequency, cycle, amplitude, and in addition to those, we have already discussed how we define form factor, crest factor, how to calculate our average value, and how to calculate RMS value. And in that, we have discussed how a digital multimeter, like analog or digital kind of multimeter, whether it measures average value or RMS value. Those are all the those points we have covered in the last video, and in this video we'll discuss how to produce or how AC is produced, and what are the laws, or on what fundamental law this AC generation is made. So coming to the learning objectives, so in this presentation, the learning objectives are the production of AC. Next we'll see what is all about Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, and we'll see a small video or a simulation video regarding how an AC generator is working to produce or electromagnetic induction. And next is Faraday's laws of induction, and coming last one is the application of AC. Right, first we'll come to the point, that is production of AC. So to produce AC is nothing but alternating current. So in the last video itself, I have said that AC is nothing but an alternating current, which is most commonly used form of energy source in any domestic applications, like in our AC mains. In all electrical appliances we'll be using AC source. And AC signal is a kind of signal in which all the charge carriers or all the potentials will be continuously altering from positive half cycle to the negative half cycle. That is, for an AC signal, the direction will be continuously varying. So for an AC signal, it is a bidirectional time dependent signal. That is, for an AC signal we have both magnitude and direction, in contrast with the DC signal, right? So in order to produce this AC signal, there is for generation of this electrical signal, some magnetic properties are needed for production of this signal. So for that, we'll go into the basics of production of AC signal. So if a conductor is moved or rotated within a stationary magnetic field, an EMF, that is nothing but electromotive force, is induced within the conductor due to the movement of the conductor through the magnetic flux. So if we take two magnetic poles, like one is a stationary, the other north pole and south pole, and between those, if we take a conductor, that is a current carrying conductor is placed between a magnetic field, some kind of energy, magnetic kind of energy, which is developed because of the electrical energy. That energy or that force, we call it as electromagnetic EMF, electromotive force, is induced within the conductor. That conductor is nothing but a simple wire or a bunch of wires we can use. Due to the movement of the conductor through the magnetic field, an EMF will be induced in the conductor. This means that from this we can see that there is a relationship between electricity and magnetism, and giving us the effect of electromagnetic induction. So this property, like electromagnetic induction, is first discovered by Michael Faraday, and it is a basic principle that any electrical machines or any generator use to generate sinusoidal waveforms for our main supply. That is, in order to produce an AC signal, electromagnetic induction, which was proposed by Michael Faraday, is being used the production of the AC signal with the help of all the electrical machines and generator for generating a sinusoidal waveform, which is nothing but an AC waveform. And coming to this law, which is proposed by Michael Faraday, that law is called as Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Now we'll discuss in detail about the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Faraday explained the law of electromagnetic induction that when a single wire conductor moves through a permanent magnet, when moves through the permanent magnetic field, thereby cutting its lines of flux, an EMF will be induced in it. Here in this diagram we can see that there are two poles, north pole and south pole, and the conductor here we see is between AB is a conductor which is moving in between the north pole and south pole and cutting the magnetic lines of flux between these two poles. So when this conductor is placed in the magnet between the magnetic poles, because of the magnetic lines of force, the conductor which is placed between the magnetic field will try to move its position. This movement of this conductor, that is nothing but here AB, causes an EMF, or else it produces some energy. That principle is, or that law is called as Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. To understand it clearly, we'll go into a simulation graph. We'll just check. So it's loading. So this is in this simulation we can see there is a bulb, and to which a voltmeter is connected, and to this a current carrying conductor, that is nothing but a coil of wire is connected, and this coil of wire is nothing but the current carrying conductor. According to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, that magnetic field causes the current carrying conductor either to move from its position or twist or generate any kind of energy. This can be proved with in this simulation. So I am just taking a permanent magnet which has north pole and south pole and taking it to the magnetic into the current carrying conductor. When I place the north pole and south pole in the current carrying conductor, you can see that the bulb is glowing. Okay, and I'll add some field lines to this. You can observe that when the conductor is getting in contact with the permanent magnet, and this permanent magnet is generating some magnetic lines of flux. When these lines cut the magnetic field, or these lines touch the when placed between a current carrying conductor, an EMF will be induced. So when I move this magnet, these lines are touching the current carrying conductor and making the bulb glow. And in the voltmeter also, based on the movement of current either inwards or outwards, the voltmeter will move from either from positive side or to the negative side. As this is an alternating current, so the waveform will be in alternating fashion. Or in simple sense, what this simulation is showing is that when I am moving or when I am developing magnetic lines in a near a current carrying conductor, voltage or EMF will be induced. That EMF will be identified in the voltage or in the bulb that I have connected to the voltmeter. So with this you got to know that about Faraday's law. Now we'll move on with the presentation. So if the conductor moves in parallel with the magnetic lines, no lines of flux are cut and no EMF will be induced in the conductor. So if the conductor is moving in parallel, if the magnetic lines are in parallel with the conductor, no lines of flux are cut, so no EMF will be induced in the conductor. But if the conductor moves at right angles to the magnetic field, maximum amount of magnetic flux is cut, thereby producing maximum amount of induced EMF. Also, here we can see that the conductor cuts the magnetic field at different angles. Like if we see the coil AB, it is moving from position A to C, B, D. So in all the positions, if the conductor is in position C and D, it is parallel to the lines of magnetic flux, so the induced EMF will be 0. If the conductor cuts the magnetic lines at perpendicular direction, that is just as shown in the diagram, if it is as in the diagram shown, the amount of induced will lie somewhere between 0 and the maximum value. So at all the time, for production or induction of EMF, the magnetic lines should come in contact with the current carrying conductors. That is, 0 EMF will be induced when the current carrying conductor is in parallel with the magnetic lines of flux. Other than this, if in any direction, when the magnetic lines of flux come in contact with the current carrying conductor, an EMF will be induced, and that EMF amount will be dependent on some factors like the length of the conductor, the speed at which it is rotating, and the magnetic flux or the number of magnetic lines it is being cut. Okay, so this is the basic fundamental law which is used in any AC generators or electrical machines for production of a sinusoidal waveform. So with this we got to know that for the production of an AC signal, that is alternating signal, the basic law or the basic ingredient that is used here is Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. It is based on one statement or one point that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a uniform magnetic field, an EMF will be induced based on the movement of the current carrying conductor in the magnetic field. And coming to the AC generator. An AC generator uses the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction to convert a mechanical energy such as a rotation into an electrical energy. That is nothing but a sinusoidal waveform, that is AC waveform. So here an AC generator using Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, converting its mechanical energy into electrical energy, and that electrical energy will be in the form of an AC, that is alternating type. The amount of induced EMF induced within the conductor of a AC generator will depend upon the angle between the conductor, the magnetic flux, and the strength of the magnetic field. This is which we have discussed previously. And coming to the diagram, in the diagram we can clearly see that we have of an AC generator, we see two poles, one is north pole and the south pole. These poles are a horseshoe type. In order to induce more amount of magnetic lines of flux, and in order to maintain proper magnetic permeability, the north pole and south pole are cut in the form of horseshoe type. Okay, in this, between these magnetic between these magnets we find a current carrying conductor, which is in red and blue color. So this is nothing but a current carrying conductor. This current carrying conductor is connected or placed inside the magnetic field. We can see blue lines coming from north to south pole. Those lines are nothing but the magnetic flux. Two carbon brushes and along with the slip rings are connected to the wire loop, that is nothing but current carrying conductor. When this conductor twist or turn in between the north pole and south pole, it is cutting the magnetic fields between these poles, and these magnetic lines, when cut by a current carrying conductor, an EMF will be generated. So coming to the diagram of an AC generator, this is a basic construction, that is a simple generator consists of a pair of permanent magnet producing a fixed magnetic field between north pole and south pole. Inside this magnetic field, a single rectangular loop of wire that can be rotated around a fixed axis, allowing it to cut the magnetic flux at various angle, which is shown in the above figure. Right, based on the rotation of the current carrying conductor, EMF will be induced, and that amount of EMF induced will depend on the three factors, that is angle between the conductor, next is the magnetic flux, and the third one is the strength of the magnetic field, that is how strong the magnets are, north pole and south pole. The weak the poles are magnetic poles, the weak will be the weaker will be the magnetic field. How strong the magnetic fields are, that strong will be the strength of the magnetic field. All these factors include or are induced to generate an AC waveform. As a coil, coming to the operation of the AC generator, as a coil rotates in the anti-clockwise around the central axis, which is perpendicular to the magnetic field, the wire loop cuts the lines of magnetic force set up between the north and south poles at different angles as the loop rotates. The amount of induced EMF in any loop at any instant of time is proportional to the angle of rotation of the wire, that is nothing but the conductor within the loop. As the wire loop, that is conductor, rotates, electrons in the wire flow in one direction around the loop. Now when the wire loop has rotated past 180-degree points and move across the magnetic lines of force in the opposite direction, the electrons in the wire loop change and flow in the opposite direction. Then the direction of the electron movement determines the polarity of the induced voltage. So we can see that when the coil or loop physically rotates one complete revolution or 360 degrees, one full sinusoidal waveform is produced, with one cycle of waveform being produced from each revolution of the coil. As a coil rotates within the magnetic field, the electrical connections are made to the coil by means of the carbon brushes and slip rings, which are used to transfer the electrical current induced in the coil. The amount of EMF induced in the coil cutting the magnetic lines of force is determined by the following three factors. First one is speed, that is the amount of EMF induced in the coil cutting the magnetic lines of force. And how much of EMF is induced is determined by three factors, that is first one is speed, second one is strength, third one is length. So what is speed? Speed is nothing but with at what speed the coil rotate inside the magnetic field. This is the main factor which decides the amount of EMF that is being induced in the generator. The second point is strength. This we have already discussed. The strength of the magnetic field. That is the when we are using a permanent magnet, north pole and a south pole. These permanent magnets' strength will also decides the amount of EMF that is being induced in the conductor. And the third main point is the length of the length of the coil or conductor that is passing through the magnetic field. More the length of the conductor, more the EMF will be induced in the conductor. So all these factors will decide how much EMF will be induced in the conductor. That is, in simple, the EMF induced E will be equal to BIL newtons. This is a formula which we generally use for the electromagnetic induction. E is nothing but the EMF induced will be equal to BIL newtons. I is nothing but the amount of current that is flowing in the conductor. L is nothing but the length of the conductor in meters, and B is nothing but the magnetic flux, the amount of the magnetic flux. So all these are directly related to the EMF that is being induced in the conductor. E is equal to BIL newtons. That is, B is the magnetic flux, I is the current, and L is the length. I is the current flowing in the conductor, and L is the length of the conductor. We know that frequency of a supply is the number of times a cycle appears in a second, and that frequency is measured in hertz. As one cycle is induced, EMF is produced for each revolution of the coil through a magnetic field comprising of a north and south pole. If the coil rotates at a constant speed, at a constant number of cycles will be produced per second, giving a constant frequency. So, by increasing the speed of rotation of the coil, the frequency will also be increased. Therefore, frequency is proportional to the speed of rotation. So, frequency is indicated with the letter F. Speed is indicated with the letter N. So, I can write it as F is directly proportional to N, where N is equal to speed in RPM. RPM is nothing but revolutions per minute. Also, in our diagram, we have a simple single coil generator which has only two poles, one north pole and one south pole. So it is just giving one pair of poles. If we add more magnetic poles to the generator in the above diagram, so that it has now 4 poles in total, like we have two north, if you place two north poles and two south poles, then for each revolution of the coil 2 cycles will be produced for the same rotational speed. Therefore, frequency is proportional to the number of pairs of magnetic poles. That is, F frequency is proportional to P, that of the generator, where P is nothing but number of pair of poles. Here what I am telling is that frequency is proportional to the speed, and as well as frequency is proportional to the number of pairs of poles. So from these two facts we can say that the frequency output of an AC generator will be proportional to F is proportional to N and F is proportional to P. Therefore I can write it as F is equal to N into P, and units are cycles per minute. As frequency is measured in hertz, we can write frequency F is equal to Np divided by 60 hertz. N is the speed and P is the number of pair of poles. And here I have used I have divided it with 60 because 60 converts the minutes value into seconds. After knowing this point, we should also know a point called as instantaneous voltage. In the previous video, we have mentioned a point called as instantaneous voltage. For an AC signal, we always calculate the present value, that is nothing but the instantaneous value. When we consider a DC signal, always the DC's amplitude will remain constant, so at any point of time the value will be same. So instantaneous value calculation is not that particular when in DC, whereas for AC signal the instantaneous values like instantaneous voltage and current plays a crucial role, as every time and every point of time the signal varying will be varying with respect to time. So now we'll see what is instantaneous voltage with respect to this AC generator. The EMF induced in the coil at any instant of time, that is the present time, depend upon the rate or speed at which the coil cuts the lines of magnetic flux between the poles, and it is dependent on the angle of rotation theta of the generating device. For example, the value of 1 millisecond will be different to the value of 1.2 millisecond and so on. These values are generally known as instantaneous values or represented with the letter V suffix small I. Then the instantaneous value of the waveform and also its direction will vary according to the position of the coil within the magnetic field. So this is shown in the diagram. So if we see this diagram, we have a magnetic field on the left side, north pole and south pole. Between these poles there is a magnetic field, and in that magnetic field I am placing a current carrying conductor. When a current carrying conductor is supplied with an energy, this will be rotating or revolving in between the north and the south pole, and this rotation will be always continuing and continuously varying with time, and this is represented in the diagram, showing that when the rotation changes, the direction of the electrons moving in the inside the conductor varies, and that variation gives us a cycle, alternating waveform, which has a different value at every instant of time. The instantaneous value of a sinusoidal waveform is generally given as instantaneous value is equal to the maximum value into sine theta. So we have already discussed that it will be proportional to the angle of rotation. So what we can write is that instantaneous value will be the maximum value into the angle of rotation, that is here I can write it as it is a sinusoidal kind of signal, we are writing sine theta. The angle of rotation Vi is equal to V max, the instantaneous value of voltage will be equal to the maximum voltage induced in the coil, and theta is equal to omega t is the rotation angle of the coil with respect to time. If we know the maximum or the peak value of the waveform by using the formula, above, the instantaneous values at various points along with the waveform can be calculated. By plotting these values onto a graph paper, a sinusoidal waveform can be easily constructed. That is, we can know the shape of a sinusoidal waveform. Okay, so just take the instantaneous values of the EMF induced and plot that on a graph paper, and we'll get to know the shape and the amplitudes of the instantaneous amplitudes of the waveform that is being generated. And coming to the waveform, here we can see how a sinusoidal waveform is constructed using a generator. In this diagram, we can see a north pole and south pole, and in between those poles there is a conductor rotating from position A, B, C until again it comes to A. So from A to B there is a 45-degree angle, B to C 90, C to D 135, D to E 180, and so on until 360 degrees, that is one revolution. So for when the coil is in the position A, E in the magnetic field, in the graph, that is a sine wave, the voltage will be equal to 0. And when the coil moves to the position B, that is if changes its position to 45 degrees, the EMF induced will be more when compared with of A. So the graph will be moving upwards. When the coil moves from B to C, that is 90 degrees, in the previous slides we have discussed that when the coil is at 90 degrees, it will produce 90 degrees to the magnetic lines, maximum EMF will be induced. So at position C in the graph, we see that maximum value will be observed. That is the maximum amplitude of the waveform can be observed in the position C of the conductor. When the conductor moves from C to D, that is 90 degrees to 135, when it is moving from 1 to 135 degrees, the value will be again decreasing to position D and to E, and again it comes to 0 as the magnetic lines come in parallel with the conductor. So this point also we have discussed, when the magnetic lines and the current carrying conductor are in parallel to each other, 0 EMF will be induced. And now from so the value at E will be equal to 0. When E, the current carrying conductor, moves from position E to F, it is moving in the reverse direction. Current carrying conductor is moving in the reverse direction, so the EMF induced will be in the negative side. So from 180 degrees to 225 degrees, we see a negative going graph, and until again up to F, G, H, we see a negative going graphs, and at position G we find a maximum value in the negative side because now the magnetic lines of flux come in perpendicular to the current carrying conductor. Maximum EMF will be induced as it is as the coil is moving in the reverse direction. The EMF induced will be maximum, but will be in the negative side, and this comes to again position A, such that it again come to 0 value. With this, a complete cycle is produced with one single rotation of the coil. So for any waveform, for any AC signal, we see current or voltage is continuously varying. So here we see a continuously varying waveform, and that waveform should have a cycle, that is like it should have a positive half cycle and negative half cycle. Like it should have magnitude and direction, it should have both positive side and the negative side. So here we see a positive half cycle and negative half cycle being generated. So we can say that this is nothing but an AC waveform. So with a simple AC generator and using Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, we have generated an AC kind of waveform. So this is how we generate a AC waveform using an AC generator and Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. And next we'll see what is meant by radiant. Radiant is defined as mathematically as a quadrant of a cycle where the distance subtended on the circumference of the circle is equal to the length of the radius r of the same cycle. Since the circumference of the circle is equal to 2 pi into radian, there must be 2 pi radians around 360 degree of circle. In other words, the radian is a unit of angular measurement and the length of 1 radian will fit 6.284 times around the whole circumference of a circle. Thus, 1 radian is equal to 360 degrees by 2 pi. That will be equal to 57.3 degrees. So in any electrical engineering, the use of radiant is very important to remember. So each radiant will be equal to 57.3 degrees, and this value should be remembered while for the generation or while calculating the instantaneous values of current. And coming to the sinusoidal waveform that we have generated, these points which are displayed on the screen, those are all already mentioned in the previous slide, but for the sake of continuity I am showing it. So here we are seeing a blue waveform. This is nothing but a sinusoidal waveform which is moving from the value 0 to the maximum value. So this is on the x-axis I have taken a time period, on the y-axis I am taking amplitude. This amplitude can be either voltage, either it can be voltage or current. So when the alternating signal is varying from 0, it reaches to the maximum value, that is nothing but the maximum amplitude. If it is voltage, we write it as Vmax, and if it is current, we write it as Imax, and again decreases to 0. 0 at when it reaches 180 degrees or pi radians, and from there from 180 degrees to 2 pi radians or 360 degrees, and again it moves to the maximum value and again reaches to 0, but in the negative direction, as the electron movement in the current carrying conductor will be in the anti-clockwise direction. These values will be in the negative direction, which is very much symmetrical to that of the positive half that is being generated. And here the point to be noted in this diagram is that here the maximum value or maximum amplitude is given as 1. We have taken it as 1. So if we want to calculate the average value or RMS value, we already know these formulas from the previous video, that we write the average value is equal to A maximum into 0.636. So that is here the average, the maximum value that we have taken in this diagram is 1. So 1 into 0.636 is the average value for this sinusoidal waveform. So if you want to calculate the RMS value, A max will be A RMS will be equal to A max into 0.707. That is, the maximum value is getting multiplied with the 0.707 value will give us the RMS value. At any instantaneous value AT, A of t will be given as the sinusoidal waveform representation will be equal to A of t will be equal to Am into sin omega t. A of t, t here is indicating at any instant of time. Am is nothing but the maximum value into sin theta. We call it as theta. Theta is angle of rotation. The theta can be written as omega t. Okay, so for one completion of for completing 1 radian or 2 pi radians, that is from 0 to 2 pi, the time amount that is taken, we call it as time period. This number of this complete positive half and negative half is called as cycle, and number of cycles that are being generated in 1 second is called as frequency. F is inversely proportional to t. F is equal to 1 by t. Right? So with this, how an AC signal is generated and how an AC signal is represented, and its various parameters has been observed. And coming to the and next we'll move on with the applications of AC, where this AC signal is being used. Alternating current is mainly used in the industry of transportation and production of electricity. In fact, almost every household in the world is powered by AC. AC is also more popular current when it comes to powering electric motors, a device that converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. Okay, some household appliances that we use that rely on this are but aren't limited, like all the applications that we use, like refrigerators, dishwashers, garbage disposals, toasters, etc. Those are all work under this uh, uh, those are all powered by AC. So this is how AC plays a crucial role in any electrical circuit, and it also plays a crucial role for making us comfortable using all the electrical appliances without any disturbances. So with this, we got to know in this slide, in this presentation, we got to know how an AC signal is generated, and for the generation of AC signal, what is the law that is being used, and how an AC generator is operating and its construction. Along with that, we have discussed how a sinusoidal waveform is generated with the help of an AC generator. And finally, we have concluded this video with the applications of AC. So with this, I close this video, and in the next videos we'll come up with the other points from fundamentals of electricity. Thank you.